God.
We live right now.
Oh my God, we're live. Ah! What up, y'all? It's Rap Latte. I'm Torre.
And I am King Green, and these are deeper conversations about Drake and YG. We're
Yo,
not only talking about Drake today. So
the
I want
boy
y'all to know.
dropped a new. The boy dropped a video. What you think of the video? Just the video, not the song. We agree the song sucks, but just the video.
It's kind of like whatever as a video. Like
It is.
you know me, I definitely don't hate Drake and used to like a lot of his songs and music. Not used to, I mean some of his older songs, but yeah, it was not for me. I just didn't care. I watched it all because everyone's talking about, yeah, there's some subs. So I'm looking, I'm like, oh, so he's still trying to keep this up. Like, why are we doing this? I was not even interested in it. But I was just like, oh, there's some subs. And the things that people say are subs, it's just like, I feel like people who watch
Boring.
us, I feel like people watch us like, that's a reach. Like, I'm just, I'm like,
I,
just don't care.
nothing about this video. This is the first new video since the battle, right?
The first new video since the battle for him? I guess like did the battle stop? Like what is since the battle? Because he dropped that one where he looked like Prince.
Fair question, and that is answered within the question in the context of the video. But let's just agree that obviously the main hostilities ended last April, right? And that this has been aftershocks since then.
Yeah.
So this is his first time coming out with a new video for a charting song from an album, right? Like
Yeah. That.
right, he's in the mix. He's trying to get to number 1 on the chart. He's trying to get spins and streams, and nothing about this suggests we think this is a big moment. We need to do a little bit more to get people's attention. We need a concept. We need a guest star. We need a thing that shifts the conversation. It seems like just another day on the assembly line, just another black and white video where Drake is dancing amid a stream of girls. We don't, I would go to a location and like, oh my God, look at him in this amazing place, or what? No, it's on a
What do you think of the
soundstage.
song? Because we skimmed through this shit. What do you think
The
of the
song
song?
sucks. The song sucks. Can we please not talk about the song? I mean, like, the video is not as bad as the song, but there is a moment, and so I'm gonna try to ignore you trying to talk about the song. There is a moment in the
Keep calling
video.
my phone. Keep calling my phone. You don't like that part?
Don't do
Keep
that.
calling my
Don't do
phone.
that. You're hurting me. You're hurting me. There's a moment in the video where I was like, is he making reference to Best I Ever Had? Where I think there was a similar thing of him interacting with cheerleaders and pom-poms. And I'm like, is it a reference to the beginning of his career? Or just he's just so little growth that he's still just making videos where he's just hanging around a bunch of girls and like,
I don't like to. I think we talked about this a little bit, like, but I don't like to put it like, oh, there's no growth. It's just women in the video. It's like he's a rapper, and rappers be doing that, and 50-year-old rappers got women in the video. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't want to put it solely on him as like that's a Drake issue, but I don't know if that's a reference. I don't think it's a reference. I think it's just regular shit. It's like also thinking about the amount of dancers in the video. To me, it feels like it references the Super Bowl. Him in the middle of a bunch of
oh,
dancers feels like it
I
references the Super Bowl in my eyes.
I didn't quite get that, but I did
It
expect.
seems a little like, why are you in the middle of all these dancers in that way? It seems if I don't know if you were
I
I don't know if you
guess.
got to that. In the comments,
Mm,
let me know if y'all watched it, if y'all had that little bit of feeling too. But I honestly didn't feel much of real big
of anything.
subs of anything when I watched it. I
Well,
saw some
no,
reactions.
I think that in some way he's got Shea Gillius Alexander, SGA, one of the best
Yeah.
players in the NBA, Oklahoma Thunder, Canadian brother. He's in the video. I immediately said, "Oh, this is a reference to DeMar DeRozan being in Kendrick's video." It seems like I know stars in the NBA too, which is not what Kendrick was doing. He wasn't just flexing that I have friends who are in the NBA. It was like the people who are down with you prefer me. Your guy from the Toronto Raptors is my actual friend and still rocks with me and hangs out we're both from Compton and he comes to my video and he comes on the like he's my real friend. So you don't have real friends. People don't really like that was what he was doing. Not and this is just I know NBA guys too. Like, of course you do. But
Yeah,
I
I
feel
mean, I
like
think
it
it's
is an attempt to
that's always
conversate
a
back.
flex, right? But there's always a I don't see that as a to me, I see it as two things. In the beginning, which I don't know if you caught it, there's these screens that it's keep calling my phone, keep calling my, and then these screens around him with the game Snake that us millennials used to play on our calculators on our TI 84s, right? So that game Snake is all on the sides of him. So he's saying that he's surrounded by snakes, like all the people who did him wrong,
Okay.
all that. He's like showing that imagery with the snake game. And then I feel like the SGA thing is and the dapping up of whoever that is, whether it's Chubbs or any one of his boys for a long time, that dap up shows is like
Vodka.
this is who supports me. This is the gang I have. Toronto's the city I have. Let me claim what's mine and the people who are mine. That seems like what the whole. It's just that simple. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just that
Yeah, no,
simple.
he's simple. It's none of this is deep. I felt like maybe the
It's deep for
scoreboard
him.
stuff was referencing Kendrick somehow, the game or the Super Bowl or some shit. I don't fucking know. I mean, I'm
What's your
certain that
favorite Drake song? Undeniable, my favorite Drake song from you.
it's either One Dance or Nice for What. I think there's one more in that era that I mean, like, is Sicko Mode a Drake song
I
or is
count
it
it
a
as a
Travis
Drake
song?
song because that's like one of my favorite Drake songs. I love Sicko Mode. The beat, switch, everything.
Yeah,
Travis.
but is Drake's part your favorite part, or you like the
And I
Trav
like the
part?
entire song. I don't put one thing
The
above the
song
other. I think it
rocks.
all
I don't.
matters.
I mean, like I said, Nice for What. In my feelings. I
So you
mean,
really
there
like
was
the real pop Drake, like when he's really in the like hit
well,
making pop bag.
yeah. That's where he can possibly catch me. If he
Catch, yeah,
is
yeah. So
poppy and
this doesn't do
catchy
that for
enough,
you.
he can what?
So this doesn't hit that part of you because it's kind of trying to
Oh, this
do that.
yeah, that would be he could try all he wants. This song fucking sucks.
Like this
Um,
80s. You know what's interesting to me about this song? There's like Squabble Up that has that 80s revival part in it, and this
yeah,
feels
yeah, yeah.
really 80s and almost Miami bass slash 80s if you put it into it.
I give you Miami.
It has
So
Miami
the
bass with a little bit of 80s hip hop too. Like when you really listen to the almost no, this is like post African Bambaataa. I gotta think of the real like it's almost like supersonic, like that.
yeah, JJ Fad, yeah.
So
Yeah.
supersonic mixed with Miami bass. I'm in Miami right now, so that's why I got my fit. So I'm feeling that. So I was like, "Stop calling my phone." Don't
Oh,
like the
that's why the
song.
shoulders are out because 'cause you're in
That's why the shoulder,
Miami?
yeah, the
Okay.
shoulders is out. This is
Okay.
beach weather. You know what I'm
Okay.
talking about? But and
Memory
give me
serves
some likes for the
Superstar.
shoulders too. I mean, we only got 131 likes. There's 300 people in here. Like the video, and if you're watching this on the playback, give us a like, man. This is how people see
Yeah,
us.
give him a like for each shoulder.
Each shoulder.
Supersonic was produced by Dr. Dre, if memory serves,
Oh,
early
for
Dre.
real? I didn't know
I
that.
believe so. Now you say it like that, now I wanna double check, but I believe that was Dr. Dre.
But it has that vibe, right? So I see where I, I see that like, oh, I'm trying to implement this. It's the only kind of like original thought that I think existed on that Some Sexy Songs for You. And then but then I
Yeah,
also kind of liken it to the Squabble Up.
co-produced by Dr. Dre and Yella.
Okay,
Um,
bet.
I'm certain that the imagery at the end, if you made it to the end of this fucking dumbass video, where we see a group of owls who are free. This is clearly a clapback to Kendrick ending his video as a TV off with the owl in the cage. So now
Uh-huh,
Drake
yeah,
has
yeah, yeah. Not TV
it's
off,
always like he's like the
not like us.
foreign exchange student who doesn't understand the joke. And Kendrick makes a complicated comment toward him through lyric, through video, whatever. And he makes a simplistic statement back that shows, I didn't really understand what you said. And you showing owls free doesn't really answer Kendrick putting an owl in the cage at the end of his video. They're not equal statements, but that's the level of intellectualism that you have available to you. So that's all you can do.
Someone said, and I agree with it, is like just like my statement about Kanye being a follower and
Mhm.
Drake is an adopter. You know what I'm saying? He adopts things. He's like, I'm going to adopt this. You know what I'm saying? People like to say appropriator, but I don't like that
Mm.
term. I don't like
Culture
that term.
vulture. Culture vulture. Because
Culture
he's
versus
white.
cool
Simple.
too, but that's kind of, to me, feels archaic, and I like adaptation because it doesn't imply one side to the other. If I like you being an adapter because it applies to your artistic capability, not like trying to be like you're a culture vulture, you're negative. We could have those perspectives. I'm talking about his level of artistic intellect. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Mm.
like, I only know how to adapt, you know what I'm saying? To take this and do an adaptation of such thing. You are not an inventor, as some people would like to try to say he is. You know what I'm saying? I would say more so of his, who doesn't get a lot of credit. 40 is probably the driving force of anything original that comes from Drake's camp.
So what?
What do you mean so?
What are we
Stop.
doing?
What do you
What are
mean
you
what are we
doing
doing?
now? Now we're
What are we
going.
doing? What are
We're
we
not
doing? I'm
going
saying,
deep into Drake's camp. He does not deserve it. He does not
why
merit
you
the
hate that
deep,
hard? No, hold on,
nuanced
hold on. Chill
discussion
out,
of,
chill out,
well,
chill out,
this
chill
is
out, chill out.
from fuck 40, fuck 39 and 41 too. Fuck them.
You ate a
Fuck
little
that.
too much. You ate it a little too much. I'm just saying that's where it seems like where you that's how you run out of steam and run out of ideas when you need things to adapt. That's my point. If you want to hate on 40, that's cool for you. I ain't gonna hate
All
on
of them.
40.
All of them. They all got
That
weird
makes no
cases. Why
sense.
are they
What did
around?
40 do to you? What did 40 do to you? He did nothing to you. You do not even know this man. He's just hating on people
This
just
is
to
just
hate.
fucking corny. I'm just attacked by the
How is he
corniness
cool?
of the whole fucking situation. Look,
All right, go ahead.
you
We'll move
sent
on.
me you sent me a song that blew me away that was unlike anything that I have ever heard in hip
Hmm.
hop history. YG, what's the name of the record?
Why oh my god, you're making me forget the name of the song because the title of the the first line blows me away that I can't even remember the title. Yeah, it's 2004 because
2004.
he's referencing the time period if it
2004
happened.
is the name of the song.
Hmm.
Is it the first line? I got raped?
The
That's the first line?
first line.
I got raped.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, just first of all, the vulnerability and the honesty and the stark reality, that blows me away. But also the I don't know, the perspective to be able to understand that yes, as a man, you can get raped. And if you're 14, 15, fucking around with a 30-year-old, as he describes in the story in the
Hmm.
rhyme, you got raped. You should not be in bed with a 30-year-old, maybe 18, maybe, but 30? That's a grown woman and you're a
He said maybe
teenager.
18.
That's that's the R word.
No,
And and and
that's what
so
he
many
says.
men and so many men would take it like, "See how advanced and how dope I am and how amazing I am, that at 15, I pulled a 30-year-old chick or a 25-year-old chick." You didn't pull shit, nigga. You got raped.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we've heard this in let me know if my mic's echoing, guys. Um uh, a lot of times people have talked about this from a different perspective in hip hop, like,
Hmm.
like almost pridefully, like, yo, I lost my virginity at 15, 14. I've heard these lines in hip hop before. And to take this and understand that what I like about this whole song, when you go through the process, he starts off with the like acknowledgement as a grown man that when I was young, I got raped by a bitch twice my age. Like he says
I just
it,
want to pause for a second to note the greatest super chat we have ever gotten.
shut
Dominic,
up.
thank you very much. If we're gonna make fun of Torre for his mic muting, and I didn't know that was a thing.
They do all the
you,
time.
you speak of it like it's an ongoing thing.
It
I don't know how I
is.
feel about that. I feel like we need to call out Green's lack of headphones causing echo. Oh, oh,
We were talking about
oh!
something very deep, and you want to stop
Look
it.
this. Look when the shoe is on the other foot. How it feels different.
Yo,
Does it not,
the people who are
Greeny?
watching this at home, they really want to dive into this song, okay?
All right, let's
I
go.
turned down your volume so there could be less echo. Please let me know in the chat if there's still
All
an
right,
echo.
we can be serious again.
We
All
can be
right, fine.
serious about this very serious topic in a
It's
very
very
nice
serious. No,
song.
I take it super seriously. All right, fine.
I
Go.
take it super serious.
I
No, but
do.
this is a great song. I can't even say this first
It
line
is.
again. When I was young, I got raped by a bitch twice my age. Making that straight up, straight up and down, like this is what it is. I see this now that when I was young, this is where this what happened. And then you go through the story and the narrative, and he talks about how he thought he was the man when it actually happened. And then
Mm-hmm.
this is, he's going around acting like this is how I I lost my virginity. Everyone thinks I'm the man. Then turning into like she made me do things that I didn't want to do. Like she had him doing sexual acts that he did not want to do, and it made him feel gross after. That's the only time he actually felt
See,
gross in that space. Like I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to do. He realized
this
that
is
at the time,
the
and I think
thing,
that's
right?
just to have this
Go ahead,
song
Green.
and to see where and you could counteract it with Drake, of course, because you actually will go in on Drake. But to see how YG comes from club bangers and money getting, bitches and hoes, my life is crazy. All these songs to grow to being like, yo, let me analyze my life. Let me talk about the part that I never talked about. Let me actually show growth with the first song he comes out with when he's coming back. That's amazing. That's amazing. And now, to me, it's like the West Coast is going crazy right now. The West Coast is going crazy, and like the South, the East Coast, where's everybody at? Because the West Coast is going crazy right now when it comes to upholding like good music and making great moves, and ex, just showing themselves. Now,
Are
Drake,
you
on the other
saying
hand,
that?
how do you feel about
Are you,
his latest offering from?
hold on, I want to stay on YG. It's much more interesting. Are you saying that LA is the center of hip hop right now?
That's without a doubt. That'd be a stupid thing to say something different. Kendrick's doing
Well,
stadium tours. Like, what are we talking
no, I
about?
mean, no, I mean, folks have been
Tyler the
talking
Creator's
about
on an
Atlanta
arena
and
tour. Kendrick's doing stadium tours. All the younger West Coast artists are going crazy. TDE is a West Coast label. They have Doechii, they have SZA. There's nothing to talk about when it comes to that.
no, I'm with it. I'm
Yeah,
with it. I mean,
Doechii's
folks
from
have been,
Tampa and SZA's from I have no clue where SZA's from, like New Jersey or New York or something like that.
I think
No
he's
clue.
from Mars.
Yeah,
Um,
but they're so removed and they in that West Coast like label system. So I chalk it up as wins.
I mean, folks have talked about Atlanta and Memphis. I can't even think of that much noise that Atlanta's making right now. Um, that's interesting.
Atlanta held it down for like 20 years. Like like I don't know. It's been so for there to even for us to even see a shift is kind of amazing to me because it was just trap on trap on trap and then altered versions of it. Like Memphis was had its shine, right? Before, then you got Detroit before that, and even now in New York drill, they would have these moments and they had their shine, not to the height of LA because I think there's just such a unity when it comes to LA. When it's going down, nobody's bigger than the program, as they say. They just like, hey, it's all we up, we all up. Let's all go. So that's a beautiful thing, and I love to see regional sounds and regional hip. I love when Memphis was had their moment. Love the Michigan hip hop, like all that. Some of those funniest bars ever for out of Michigan hip hop. Pop Smoke and the drill movement. There's a lot of good stuff that came out of it. Some stuff not, but
It's shocking to me where New York is right now as far as got some heat, but like as in general, relative to what New York has been historically, we're cold. We're
yeah.
generally cold. And,
Hmm.
you think about just the raw number of people in New York City, you would think we would be able to produce a generation of rappers over and over and over just because, there's a million, I'm just throwing out a number, but there's a million black kids under 15 in New York at any given time. And a
Hmm.
sliver of them want to rap and they're testing each other and they're watching their older brothers and sisters and they're figuring it, and that is happening at a smaller rate in other cities. So we think there would be, just all we need is two or three people, and your city is hot.
But I
But
think that they have different perspectives. I think since TDE is coming from an old school perspective, and their product that they sell is albums and fully realized artists, right? So that
mhm,
works for them, and that's works within the music industry. Whereas New York doesn't have any establishments working for that. New York is what's hot and what makes money. That's always been New York. What's
because
hot and what makes
New York
money.
used to have, let's say, Def Jam, Tommy Boy, Loud, Raucous, who
They
were
the inventors of this shit. Yeah.
in the clubs, in the streets, figuring out what's going on, who's bubbling up, and
Yep.
elevating those sort of people. And New York doesn't have any of those sort of labels or institutions now. You're
Yeah.
saying.
Somebody in the chat said New York is in a nuclear winter. That's crazy. Nuclear winter.
Show some
That,
respect. We invented this shit. Calm down.
that's nice that you invented it, but it's like, like what are we talking about? Like where are you
But
at right
no,
now?
you're saying that it's the lack of the label or the institutions that are able to elevate people
The culture's
to.
not in charge of institutions, and I'm saying the culture's motivation in New York is different. Like you guys have to battle each other for dominance before you could be dominant of New York. So you have to get out
Yeah,
of Brooklyn, and then
yeah,
Brooklyn has to beat out
yeah,
Harlem and every single other borough
yeah.
before you be dominate New York. That takes a lot. That's why there's not that many people who got there, right? Think about all the New York artists
So
that come out. None of them really get out there sometimes. And sometimes they still are like, the first thing you're gonna say is Brooklyn. You ain't saying New York.
sure, 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 sure. So you
The
so you
culture
think it's
around the
easier to
industry is
blow up
different.
in another city because it's smaller?
Say it one more time.
It's easier to blow up in another city because it's smaller,
I
because
wouldn't
there's less
say
competition. Yeah?
yes. It's easier to get your city behind you if there's less people to get. That's just numbers, right? But I'm saying
Interesting.
in general in the music industry and how it always works and how it's been working for a while, your hometown rarely fucks with you until you're hot. It's always that way, right? It's just like that rarely happens. So when someone actually gets their town to mess with them, and it's usually within the culture of the town, that's why Atlanta had that. Atlanta was like, hey, it's us versus them, so we gotta represent our own. That's how it came up with Outkast and all that, right? Same thing with Bay Area. Bay Area loves the Bay Area. Like
Yeah.
Bay Area is going to represent their Bay Area artists. If you go around and you're from the Bay, how the love that they show for each other is amazing when it comes to this art shit and from different levels. In New York, that does not exist. You know that.
No, for sure. I
It
mean,
exists when you get out of the city though. When y'all niggas is somewhere else, you're like, oh, you from New York. Now y'all all buddied up and want to like, but when you're in the
no, but
city,
the 2 examples you named were really interesting because both of those cities, Atlanta and Oakland, SF, have another city that they're responding to. So Atlanta had a bee in its bonnet because everyone was like New York, New York, and they were like the South got something to say, so
Yeah.
they needed to coalesce to speak back to this dominant culture that was coming out of New York, and they're creating their own culture and they're showing the world what they can say. And the Bay, the same way, is responding to LA, which has been hot to death since the early 80s. And the Bay is like, well, we got something to say too, because
Mm-hmm.
on the this is not talked about. Oakland specifically, but San Francisco as well, huge impact on the development of hip hop culture, and not nearly talked about, flowered up enough, discussed the massive impact of the Bay, the slang, the car culture, the music culture, the way they think, the way they approach artistry.
I love
Huge.
that. I love that you said that. I love that you say that. The car culture, like everything. I remember what Too Short said this in one of these interviews or one of these old MTV shows where it was like My Block or some shit like that. When he was like, he was like, I see this what the South is doing right now, and that's what we were doing like in the 80s and 90s. Like the car culture, some of the slang, a lot of some of the way the beats were. Like when I think of uh Bout It, I don't think of the South. I think of the Bay Area when I think of that beat and the lead synth. That's like such a California thing to me when I think about the actual instruments used. But yeah, the Bay Area is
You can
instrumental in
you can
so many
definitely
ways.
you can definitely trace a lot of the great migration through hip hop when you look at guys in the Bay, in Long Beach, what have you, who sound like they're from Alabama, Mississippi, whatever, and you're like, yeah, because y'all are cousins, because your grandmother moved and his
Mm-hmm.
grandfather moved. That's why they all came from there. But New York is an interesting history, and I actually was reading this David Byrne book, the guy from Talking Heads, about
Mm-hmm.
music in general. It's a fantastic book. And he talks in partly
David
about,
Burns dope too.
yeah, and he talks partly about the relationship of music to the place where it is performed or consumed. And that has an impact throughout history and culture on the sort of music and the sort of messages and the way the music is played. And I say it to say, 70s and 80s, because New York had so many people and so many working class people who were physically outside, we were able to create hip hop culture through the parks and through boom boxes, largely through public facing music moments, either created by
Mm-hmm.
one Radio Raheem, or we created a party in the park and now people are sharing what is early hip hop, what is early rapping, these sort of things. And so that coalesces into us having a big lead when you start getting into the recorded music era in the early 80s, right? But at some point, hip hop, New York completely lost a lead because of that. And the entire rest of the country, which is much more of a car culture, people started listening to the music in their cars. New Yorkers were not having that experience. And we lost a sense of how musical you need to be to win over fans from the South, the Midwest, and California. And they're all in their cars and clubs having these experiences with the music in these spaces, and it changes the way that the music is created and the dynamics of it and the instrumentation of it and the brightness of it. And for a long time, New York hip hop seemed very complex, very closed off, not nearly as musical, and not nearly as open. And we're getting dogged commercially by the West Coast, by the South. Their best artists are
I
going
like that
double, triple
statement.
platinum. We're going gold. Go ahead.
No, so I like the idea of Andre 3000 said this, and the chat's going crazy about like Jid and bringing back lyricism to the South and all all that. But Andre 3000 said um, that he understood why when he went to New York for the first time, he understood why New York rap sounded like that because they got these like giant buildings, it's rugged, it's rough. That's why the music's like rigid, the words are sharp, people have to be slick, you're all on top of each other. He's like, I get it now when I actually had to go there, and then in understanding the difference between Queens and Manhattan or whatever, he understands why something like Tribe would sound like that coming from Queens versus that. Like there's more space for your brain to go out, right? Whereas and then uh he said that in Atlanta they have the time. They have the time to sit there and feel things. It's like we're gonna take the time to do certain things. Everything's moving at a slower pace. And that same thing with driving. Listen to music while driving is like the greatest thing in the world, right? If you ever driven across country before, you hear music and see things you've never seen before. You hear music in different ways. That's when you literally really understand an album. And if people are not
You
doing that, you're not listening to music in the same way. It's
if
different
you're
listening
not
in your headphones on a subway.
yeah, if you're not a performer and you're not listening to music beside the headphone experience,
Hmm.
you will probably never sit close to a speaker in an enclosed environment like you do in a car. You
Yeah.
probably will never do that except for that. Like if you go to the studio, then you're in a virtual box
Hmm.
sitting very close to a speaker. And so you can hear all this detail.
Yep.
We don't consume music quite like that at home. When you listen to headphones, you may have that experience, but it depends on the quality of the headphones. If you're listening on the headphones that Apple gives you when you buy or you can get from Apple, you may not really
AirPods.
understand the music you're
Yeah.
listening to at
A lot of
all.
kids just listening. It's Bluetooth speakers and your phone speaker. So if at the basketball court, I'm playing basketball every weekend. These kids put on their Bluetooth speaker. It's the worst sounding freaking thing, especially it's reverberating on the court. I'm like, this is the worst. And I'm a sound guy. I'm listening to this like this is the worst way to listen to this music. It's reflecting off the glass, the court, all the shit. And it's
This
like you said, not many people listen to it how we attended. I'm in the studio fucking with the where the snare sits versus the kick, and if the bass line has enough mid range and low range and how it works. And it's like you're not even hearing that on the laptop speaker. You're just not even
Prince
hearing it.
used to play his demos in cars that were shitty. Like, I want to go to my girlfriend's car. She's got a shit job. She's got a bucket car. I want to hear it on her shit. How does it sound on her shit? Right? How does it, right? So I want to understand how the listener is really going to listen to it. But
We do
yeah,
that, yeah.
when we started to get into a large number of fans coming out of Atlanta, coming out of LA, coming out of other places with more of a car culture where they're driving around with the top down or up, listening to the music super close in the speakers, the music started to get more bright, more instrumentation, more dynamic. The rest of the country brought much more color to the music than New York was. And for a long time, New York was
Color?
like, that ain't real hip hop. And the rest of the country was like, fuck that. Fuck yeah, it is. Fuck yeah,
There's
it is. We
definitely
don't
they
give a
definitely
shit.
brought more melody to the actual music, to the rapping itself, and that's candy, right? That's going to get you in there. Whereas like I feel like the cerebral part of hip hop has always been something New York's been about, right? It's like that, let me outthink you, let me think about this in the lyrics. And is this sound meant to catch you through its melody, or is this sound meant to tell you a story? Like the beat's supposed to tell you a story, the words, the lyrics, everything is telling you a story. I think that's what exists, especially right now with the underground neo boom bap sound brought back and brought into the game by like the likes of Griselda, Rock Marciano. Boldy James is in there right now. The West Coast version of that, which we have to talk about, Larry June and Two Changes album, because I've been listening to it a lot. So you got to check that out.
Okay.
Larry June has better projects than this too, but I love the Alchemist and what he's doing, and being able to do West Coast vibes and New York vibes and bring them in this cerebral space as well as just like this chill space and this groove space that you're talking about that comes from these other places where people drive, people consume music in a different atmosphere. Like we have to drive to the, I'm in Virginia, I have to drive to the grocery store. Y'all niggas walk downstairs.
You know, when Mickey Fax talked about songwriting is so much about trying to hypnotize the listener to pull them into your spell, to
Yeah.
put something in their brain that they can remember. New Yorkers, at least early on, approached it like, I'm going to be so complex that you're going to be blown away because you can't conceive of all these words and all these things that I'm doing vocally. Okay, and that freaking worked. And we were blown away by Rakim and Chuck D and Big Daddy Kane and Slick Rick. And then the rest of the country was like, what if we said more words? What if we said fewer words and said it in a more melodic way and
Mm-hmm.
gave them more of a chance to be able to learn the song faster?
Yep.
That made a huge impact. We knew the words to a lot of when I'm coming up. We knew the words to songs from outside the Northeast faster than the songs from the North because we were so complex, and we the Northeast. I think misunderstood less complexity that will help you catch on with most of the country.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't want to say that about misunderstanding. I think that hip hop developed very quickly here because this is where it start here. I'm not here in New York because that this is where it started.
What was that? Do you think of yourself as a New Yorker because
No,
you're a
it's not.
rapper?
It's
Like,
you were saying here, and I believe that I'm in the same room as you. So I was just like,
okay, okay.
I was just going on. But anyways, I'm in Miami right now. Everybody, remember, look at my tank top. But
Shoulders out.
and guns out, suns out, guns out. Like if y'all can see this view right now, this is a
Wait,
lake behind
if
me.
New all time, New York is still number one all time, right? As far as
In
cities
what
in
way?
America.
Let me answer
In,
that question later, but let me finish my statement about that that New York started this. And if you think about it, it started off simple. It started off
yeah.
easy to get. It's hip hop to the hippity hop. It's like everybody clap your hands. It's regular, anyone
Hold
can
on.
get it.
Hold on. That's simple compared to where we've gone and like what you do now.
No, no,
But
no. Here,
that was a revolutionary innovation for the
inno-
time versus singing.
innovation doesn't mean simple or not simple when it comes to the aesthetics. I'm talking about these what you're talking about, melodic aesthetics and melodic and dynamics. So visualizing no freaking New York State of Mind and all those verses, rappers are monkey flicking with the fucking rhythm, I be kicking, musician.
I
That's
think in
too
competition.
complex. But
Yeah.
freaking my Adidas is not as complex as that. That's just a fact. It's musically not
Yeah.
as rhythmically not as
Yeah.
complex. And before
Yeah.
my
Sure. Yeah.
Adidas, it's also not rhythmically as complex. So I'm saying New York had more time to develop and be complex because everyone's already understand what this culture is and what's happening, right? The culture, as technology grew, it was able for everybody to understand it quicker. But by the time it gets to the South or West Coast, they didn't get the whole development at the same speed. Because I remember, I'm talking about me being in early 2000s. I remember getting the Most Def Park tape where he's rapping in the to Park saying "Mommy Benaki," all that type of stuff. Being blown away. I had that shit on VHS from my nigga New York because everybody from New York in another city is called New York. So my nigga New York came back and we used to always freestyle in the class. He gave me the tape. I'm like, who the hell is this nigga? And Most before it like dropped. So I had this like VHS of Most Def. And this is that whole movement of raucous or whatever happened later. While it's happened in New York of people going to parks and trying to bring it back to the essence, that was Most Def, Talib, all these rockers that like underground that bubbled in early 2000. It happened quicker because the internet just happened right when that was happening. So people are actually
Mm.
hitting the streets, making VHS tapes, but we were able to see it on the internet probably 2 years after because the internet blew up. Because it was like late 90s going into early 2000s. And that's how Eminem got where he got because Napster was happening at that time. All this shit. So we were able to get things quicker. So it accelerated that entire movement of how shit went. So I'm gonna say that New York started off simple and just got complex quicker than the other side. And then
It's
after
true.
you put the musicality in it, someone right now, this is a beautiful conversation. You know why? Because right now is the first time where complexity seems global. The complexity in lyrics of people actually comprehending it, it seems global
Mm.
now. And it's still not all the way there. But I'm saying someone in Australia is watching our videos, watching freaking Curtis King, listening to dissect podcasts, and it's like dissecting these lyrics,
Oh, you're
dissecting
saying
the meaning of this.
you're saying more people are understanding hip hop at a deeper level
Deeper level now than
than
ever.
before because
Yes.
there's more people who are trying to help us understand. There's more people who are willing to do the
Well,
work to try to. Yeah. Okay.
that
Okay.
yeah. And
There's
then some people who've just always seen it as just music, just a collection of songs, just things that me have fun with, which of course it is. Those people are having a hard time because they don't comprehend. So they're like, ew, why are you guys talking about this so much? It's like, which is probably tomorrow's or the day after's episode where we're gonna
yeah.
go into that because that is so and that's what's happening with it spreading more and more.
Actually, can you do a poll for the chat? Because we were talking about what we're gonna do,
Okay.
and you know, 99% of the time we talk about hip hop. I just notice that it feels like everybody in the world is talking about adolescence. And there's barely any black people in
Oh, the
that. It's
TV
not really
show?
a hip hop. Yeah, it's not really a
Okay.
hip hop thing. But like, I'm curious. Does the chat want to hear us talk about adolescence? Not today, not today. But like, does the chat want to hear us come in here and talk about adolescence, or they're like, no, stick to hip hop, nigga. Which is fine. I'm not going to be hurt either way. But if y'all want to hear us dig into adolescence, which I've watched 3/4 of it, and yesterday, my man told me the last hour is the greatest hour of TV he's ever seen. And I was like, really?
That is an exaggeration, but go ahead.
He hasn't seen The Wire, so
You feel me? The Wire gets slept on. The first few seasons of
I,
Game of
I don't know
Thrones.
who's I don't know who's sleeping on The Wire because The Wire is routinely discussed as one of the greatest shows in the history of TV.
No, because everybody nowadays. Let's talk about TV in general right now. Because everybody nowadays, and here's my problem with TV. And our man Matt Hemming, we know your name now. Matt Hemming's favorite director, Quentin Tarantino. I agree with something he said. He's like, I get sucked into these shows. They have these great concepts. They have amazing cinematography because movie and film aesthetics has now been converted into television. So we're watching TV still saying, this is so good. This is so good. Because we're like, it's so good for TV. But we're
Yeah.
past that now. Because you've got what people think is great Sopranos. We've got Breaking Bad. But a lot of times what I'm trying to say is that this is aesthetically pleasing stuff with not very good stories and dragged out to make things longer. Like Stranger Things was a movie that Netflix was like, nah, make it a TV show and we'll give you the money. So they dragged it out to make it longer, and you're getting so much fluff bullshit within a narrative that the thing could have just been shorter. And that's my issue with the Severance TV show. That's my issue with music albums even nowadays, because it's the same
Wait,
thing.
Severance.
You never seen
Oh, you
Severance?
don't like the new season of Severance?
No, I don't like Severance in general, like as a product. I love the
The show.
concepts. The show conceptually is fucking genius. It's a
Did you
genius
watch the first
concept.
season?
Yes. I don't
I
I don't
haven't
wa-
gotten to
I
the
don't hate on
second.
things unless I watch it or consume it. I only can hate on it if I
Okay.
know it.
No,
No, that's not
I
true. I hate shit that I don't be
I
looking at. I ain't gonna lie on here.
I love the first season. I haven't gotten to the second season for some reason. But I loved the first season and I loved
So
that
you think
way of,
everything in the first season was necessary? Every bit of every word, every shot. I could tell you that
I
there's 4 episodes that are not needed.
I mean, I would have to look back to even begin to have that conversation. As an artist, I have to see the entirety of what you've done before I can say, "Oh, you could have," right? I can't watch the movie and go, "You could have cut that. You could have cut that." Like, well, I got to see. Like, does it come back later?
No,
Does
you
it
could
reference?
watch the first season. The last episode, sensible, makes sense. The first episode completely sets it up and
Hold on.
grab.
Jermaine Johnson, who's a consistent friend of the show,
Uh
super
huh.
chat. Gatekeepers is not totally a bad thing. Now everyone can be a rapper. NYC and hip hop in general was at its best when we had boutique labels, curators, and gatekeepers. It's an interesting question. I think before
I think people use
eh,
gatekeepers in the wrong way, but we could get into that.
well let me see if there's something here. Because there's a period when there wasn't really an internet. There was like Napster allowed the sharing, but there was still a considerable period of time before you got into artists having a more democratized system of being able to release, right? Like right now, anybody can make a song and put it on the internet and somebody will be able to find it, right?
Yeah.
And we've been able to do that for what, like 20 some years, maybe, right? Maybe 15 years.
Mm-hmm. I would say
So,
15.
okay. So, do you notice a difference in music overall now? Let's stick to hip hop. Now, in this era of we really don't have gatekeepers because anybody can get anything on SoundCloud. Anybody can push up into the consciousness, into the attention economy if they try hard enough. Versus before, when it was much more gatekeepered and you needed the cosign of somebody at MTV or VH1 or radio or the
Are you
label
saying
system.
how has the music changed since gatekeepers have
Yes,
been
do you think that music or hip hop is
very much?
substantively different this era versus the previous era?
Very, very much so. The thing that happens within the actual industry is that you're getting the best of the best at the top. It's almost
Yeah.
guaranteed. You're gonna get Lauryn Hill, you get Jay-Z, because there's gatekeepers. So you're only getting, you know what I'm saying? People used to have to freestyle and be great at freestyling and be great on the street, do the mixtapes before they could even get a record deal. Then they would teach that rapper who could rap really good how to make songs. That's Biggie. Biggie's a
Okay.
I rap amazing. Now he has to learn how to make songs and hits, and then he gets there. That's the structure for so many. So you get that. But the thing that happened, but what happened is since there's a barrier to entry, you didn't get much other shit. You see what I'm saying? You didn't get the underground, had to stay underground, and you didn't get much other things because of that. Now, something that Fantano said, which I completely agree, your B-side song could be a hit song nowadays. The song that
Mhm.
has no chorus, has a 3-hour bridge, can be a fucking hit song in 2025. That's a beautiful thing that did not exist before because there was gatekeepers and people telling you what the structure of a song needed to be before. It had to be 3 minutes and 30 seconds because it needed to play on radio. You need to make a music video for it. Everything had a structure because of the gatekeeping. So there's positives and negatives to both sides. There is more experimental music now than ever, but there's more people making bullshit at the top level than ever. And there's bullshit at the top level, which didn't exist before. So it's like a catch
Um,
22 to me
I feel like people there was more effort before into here's your first single, here's your second single, maybe you
because
get
that
to
was
a
a
third
structured thing.
single.
What the fuck is
Yeah.
a single? A
Yeah,
single doesn't
right?
even
That's
mean
not
anything.
that doesn't exist anymore, right?
Yeah. But it shouldn't though. When you think about it, like that's just an archaic concept. 1950s is when the music industry really like created their structure. Like it's music,
Yeah.
music's been there, but that structure has got created where
Yeah.
singles, Hot 100, and all this shit. It's just some bullshit shit that these people made up to kind of sell you things. And the albums were really there to sell you the record player, which is a piece of furniture. So that's how
Right.
all that worked. So shit's changed. I don't care. It's like, what the fuck is a single?
No, I understand. Yes, it is archaic in that there was a time when I had to pay 12, 13, 14, 15, maybe $18 to hear the whole album. So
Yeah.
they needed to
And you
put
liked
out
one
one,
song.
yeah, so they need to put out 1, 2, 3 singles as trailers trailers for a movie to get me interested in the album. Oh, he made that, she made that. Well, maybe you'll like the rest of the album. Well, they gave you the best song that she has. So you really think you're going to find a better song? Good luck. But that was the proposition. Now, in an era of streaming, I just have to make you aware that it's there. I don't have to go full over of like,
No,
here's a
it's the
single,
same
please buy
thing.
the thing.
Here, I'm gonna say why it's the same thing. It's really the same thing. It's just the infrastructure is completely different. So what I mean by the same thing is like you made a good song to make people want to buy the song and be into you to try to get to the album, right? Because that's what the label wanted because they wanted to sell albums and make money. And that's really a mid to late, I mean, all 90s, early 2000s concept because that CD era was the album era, right? That's the real album era. The vinyl era is an album era as well, but no one was selling albums like Mariah Carey and them Backstreet Boys and all them niggas, right? So, except for Michael Jackson. But we all know that. So what I'm trying to say is that now you want people to buy into you as an artist because your brand and you as an artist is what you're selling more so than anything. That's what these labels are really trying to do. This idea and concept of world building and all that. But what happens when you want to be successful and you're a good artist, back then you made a good album because you wanted people to buy your next single, next album. So you made a good
Yeah.
single, but the album had to be good if you wanted to have a career. So that's why people made good albums. That's why it was up to the artists and they wanted good albums. Why do people make good albums now? Because I'm not gonna buy into you as an artist if you give me bad songs and bad albums. Like I'm buying into you because you have a show, you have a world built into your album, all this type of stuff. That's why people who sell a lot of albums, like Tyler Creator, Kendrick Lamar, freaking even people who sell albums on a who are album artists on a lower level, but their album artists would be like West Side Gun, Boldy James. People want their albums. They buy their vinyls. You want to get that stuff because they're giving you their world.
Yours, the interesting point you're making, that the structure in the past was let's sell music, and now it's more often let's sell a person or an artist who makes music and also tours and also does other things, but they're really like buy into this artist
Yo, my mic.
rather than this music that they've made this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's a and that's kind of what became like a negative thing within this whole shit is that since you're buying into the artist, you're buying into the person kind of. And that's why these conversations, like
Yeah.
when we have about Yeezy and all that, and their celebrity becomes more important than their music. Whereas, like, people used to go to a show, see an artist, they're jazz artists, anything, rap or whatever, you would enjoy the music, go up to them, "Oh, this is great song, great music. Let me get your CD." You would enjoy it like a service. And then it became more so about that person's celebrity because that's who sold the most. When someone's more beautiful, more famous, they're gonna sell more records. That's just what the label has been pushing to make them movie stars. Before, it was about the music. You were buying the music.
Right, right. I don't know. I can't name right now any Chapel Roan song off the top of my head. My daughter could, but I can't. But I can picture her, and I know she stands out, right, as a person, right? But so I'm being sold. I'm being attracted to this unique individual artist more than any specific song that she's made.
Exactly, and you get into the story, but yeah, these artists do have good songs. When I look into it, when I went into Chaperone after we went in that whole rant of not knowing who she was, I listened to. It, I was like, oh, I get why people like her. She's
So, like,
talented. There's some good songs, but we got some
hold on,
um
hold on. Before you go to that, hold on. Before you go to that, I want to break the rules a little bit, and I'm gonna trigger you because I want you to respond to this because we've heard this before. I'm gonna read a regular chat
okay,
because this is fucked up. Somebody actually wrote. Are you sitting down?
yeah, yeah.
K. Dot gets no play in the South or East Coast. He is okay, mid average, similar to Eminem. I'm going to skip a line. Nobody has ever said, yo, turn on that new K Dot.
That doesn't trigger me because it's like people say that about super famous people. It's like, but why is he playing a stadium in your city? Just
Well,
get at.
no, just yesterday, you and I were talking about last April when the battle was going on.
Mhm.
And all Kendrick dropped, was it 3 songs in 2 days? Just that specific Friday
Mhm.
616, and then again Meet the Grand. Who didn't say, "Oh my God, Kendrick dropped. I have to go listen to that song"? All day long was that.
The
From
entire
morning,
world is listening to Kendrick.
evening, the
Your
next
mama's
day.
listening to Kendrick.
What are we talking? What are you? Not Like Us is maybe the most popular song of the last year and a half, and you're like, nobody says put on that. How so? How did Not Like Us get played a billion times?
And I think the Atlanta show of Kendrick's Atlanta, and Atlanta's the South, right, guys? Are we changing the rules? I think the Atlanta show of Kendrick is already sold out. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I don't even know why you read that comment. Let that guy. You just gave that guy what he needed. He just wanted it. Now
But the
let me
notion
get
of,
the super
but the
chat.
notion,
Let me get the super
the
chats who've
notion
been.
of nobody asks for Kendrick's music does keep getting mentioned, and I think that
I think it's
he
meant.
is an but he's an artist who speaks to his fans. Now he increased his fan base significantly, but he's not a pop artist who's trying to make songs that will attract people who don't like him. He's
Mhm.
speaking to people who already like him. So there's not an effort to win you who thinks that nobody listened to him outside of the West. There's no effort to win you over. But I mean, my God, Luther and
I would
Teen
go
Off
further
are
and
both
say that
huge
he's not.
on Billboard. Who is not listening to who is not, are these songs coming on their own by Siri?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why we need to have that. I get that you want to put out that point, but it's so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. I'm more interested in your statement of him saying that he's an artist who's talking to his fans. I don't think he's even doing that. I think it's even
Okay.
better than that for me, where he's doing the art that he wants to make, and
See,
then
this person
who's
said
attracted to it.
he's a pop rapper. He is not a pop rapper. He is a popular rapper. It is different. He is not MC Hammer, who is trying to make songs for the masses. He is a rapper whose songs are liked by millions of people, making him popular. It's a difference between Nirvana was popular, Britney Spears was a pop artist. She was trying to get to that. Nirvana, I mean, yeah, they wanted to make money, but they were like, we're going to make these records and whatever happens, happens. And the country went fucking nuts. But that doesn't make, but that a million people bought the record doesn't make them pop.
Here
It
ends
made them
everything. Here ends
popular.
this whole dumb conversation that guy started, and I'm gonna pin it. ATL and Charlotte's show is 97% sold out. So shut up. Everyone who just stop talking. Just stop talking.
That's the number one thing he's
Is
trying to
Drake
do.
getting credit for Drum Song again? Afro Butterfly, our lovely moderators, asked that question. I didn't know. I don't know. Afro Butterfly, if you're still here, please let us know what you mean by that. Because if did he steal another drama song? Because that's crazy. To's biggest Drake hater reporting for the live. Matt Hemming. He's not an artist. He just makes music. We said that. If we're going to make fun of Toure, we already said that one. No one cares about that. Green likes late. Green
Hey,
light.
let's not.
Ladies take the chesticles. Well, I don't even know what you're talking about, dude. Don't get mad because the chest out, guns out. I'm in sunny Miami. I got a tank top on with the matching hat. You know what I'm talking about? Rico Wade's death killed the musical heart of ATL. Rest in peace, Rico Wade. We did
Yo,
the Gatekeeper one. Matt
yo.
talked about he's honored to be Rap Latte's number one hater. King Green has folks distracted with his green tank and swollenness. Leave me alone.
I mean, Nokia is now the best-selling song released by a rapper in 2025.
What song got
First,
released by Kendrick in 2025?
did I say Kendrick? I said
No,
Drake.
I'm just saying what
Oh,
song
but
got
Kendrick
released by
hasn't
Kendrick in
competed.
25. So he had
Yeah,
no
yeah,
competition.
yeah. Nokia is the first song released by a rapper this year to sell over 1 million units.
That's great. I'm glad people like that. I think that "Kick to the my phone" gets people's head. Kick to the my
Uh,
phone. Kick to
uh,
the my phone.
uh, uh.
And those stats literally mean nothing to me. It's like, what are you
No, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you for sure.
it's like,
I'm just
what is
noting this.
that? What does that do? I know what goes behind songs getting popular. You pay people to make stuff on TikTok. You pay if I have money, I will have a hit song. I'll have a Billboard chart. Give me the song has to be good enough. Trust me, you have to have some talent to make the song, but not that much. You don't need that much talent.
I just want to be clear that if there's any recording artists on this stream or listening to this who want to pay me to play your songs on my TikTok, I am available. I am open for business. Please call me.
Wait, you
I
gonna
have
play a
no
Drake
problem.
song?
If the check is right.
Hey.
that boy Tom McDonald, he can't pay. The price is too high. He can't pay. He can't afford it. It's $1 billion
I
for
wonder,
him.
does the
But for
chat
Drake,
know who Tom McDonald even is? Like, I'm gonna ask because I want to
wait,
know.
did you do the poll on
Yeah,
adolescents? Do they care?
yeah, it was 72% yes.
72. That's huge. 72% yes.
Yeah.
Is that? Are we doing that? Are we doing adolescents tomorrow then?
We probably should make a recorded episode, or do you want to do a live?
Okay. All right. Well, no,
I
we
want
could
to
do it
talk.
recorded tomorrow.
I want to talk about. Okay, hold on. Let's do a poll for what we talk about tomorrow because I want to talk about the idea of Kendrick hypocrisy. His hypocrisy
Interesting.
that
Interesting.
everybody.
The whole notion that has been bubbling around this sort of hip hop media ecosystem that Kendrick, this highly moral figure who destroyed Drake for being a pedophile and a bad father and all these other things, is now making records with Playboy Cardi, who don't take my tone from me personally judging him, but Cardi has some questionable violent things in his past. Does that make Kendrick a hypocrite for making a record with him?
I
Making
think that's the
3
thing we
records
want to
with
talk
him?
about, and I think people want to talk about
I don't
that.
well, this is the question. So if y'all wanna dig into that, the notion of Kendrick
I
hypocrisy,
like this. I like that we're asking
we
what
can
people
do
want for
that.
the topic tomorrow.
We can do that. Or
I'm
if y'all
doing
wanna talk about adolescence or something else. Green, I'm reminding myself of a song.
what
You
song?
got to give the people give the people what they
What they
want.
want. So bots don't exist when it comes to Drake sales. That's what people are saying. Yeah, exactly. People act like there's no bots happening. And Payola, Drum's feel good song is the one being compared. Okay, we gotta listen to that from Dr. Umar's burner account.
Under Uber?
I said Umar, yeah, Dr. Umar's. Adolescent in regards to what? A review of in our take on the show. 69% right now. It's only 66 votes, but 69% is talking about Kendrick hypocrisy, which I would assume they want to see that. But there's
People
still
want
a
to hear about Kendrick hypocrisy?
67%, 68%. We'll see. We'll let people get in there.
Why can I not see the polls? So okay, go ahead. I just want to know what y'all want to talk about. If y'all want to throw out a subject in the chat, and we'll do our best to see. If you throw out a super chat for the subjects that you want for tomorrow or the next day, like we definitely won't miss those. Right. Just as far just seeing what's in the chat, right? Green, like we see all the super chats. You can't see all of the normal chats.
Yeah, we
So
definitely can see the super chat. So
just
if
let us
y'all
know.
have a
We are happy
strong
to chat. Dr. Umar
opinion.
said do both of them.
Some people are like, I don't there's I don't care about adolescence, and then there's I don't care about talking about Kendrick's hypocrisy. But
He
poll
said,
wise,
I'm tired of
65%.
white tears.
Big U. I don't know about
Yo.
that big U stuff. I'm good on that.
The only thing about Big U that I want to talk about, and if we'd been up last week, I have always been wondering, like, what does it really mean to check in? We heard rappers and gangsters talking about checking in, and I was like, I know there's a financial aspect to that, but what is it really? And like, yeah, the Big U indictment lays clear what checking in is. That if you go to LA as a hip hop star, you have to pay a gang to make sure that the other gangs don't rob you, but also to make sure that that gang doesn't rob you. It's a total mafia protection sort of thing of like, please don't rob me. Here's some money.
uh, uh, I don't even like speaking on that stuff, man. It's like, what's the point of that? What the the thing that I want to say though is that if there's another topic that y'all want, I'm gonna make another poll. I'm gonna start a Q&A so y'all can put in another topic because we never do this because we're about to obviously leave right now. We've been on here with an hour with you guys, and we appreciate y'all.
Checking
What
in is getting extorted for sure. Wait, somebody said I'm from Compton. Don't go into check-ins. Don't even talk about it. Don't even talk
I'm with
about it.
him.
This is part
I'm
of hip hop culture. Why can't I talk about it?
no, you know what? Just because just because something's a part of hip hop culture doesn't mean that we should talk about it. Two, gang culture is its own culture outside of hip hop culture. And I think that's something that people like to make
Dogs.
synonymous, and I
Dog.
don't like doing that shit.
Dog. Gang culture and hip hop culture are deeply intersectional. Let's not say synonymous because absolutely there's a whole aspect of gang culture that's going to do hip hop but they are absolutely intersectional. There's
Did I
so
say
much.
right now? I'll replay this later to know. Did I just say that gang culture was not a part of hip hop culture at all? Did I say that? I don't think
No,
so.
but
I
like
think I
you're
actually
but
said that gang
to
culture
lean
is a
on
part
they're
of it.
not synonymous. Like, okay, fine, they're not synonymous, but now we're into semantics because they're deeply connected.
Intersectional and synonymous are two different words, and I don't think that's semantical at all. Intersectional, yes. Intersectional, yes. Synonymous means that every single time you talk about one, the other one needs to be
I'm not rich enough
involved.
to have to check in. I'm good. I'll never have to check in.
I think there's
I have no ice.
I think
I
you
don't
could
have money
joke
like
about
that.
check-ins and all that, but when you really about like when you're talking about their shit, when you're talking about their shit and specific people, that becomes you're either a square talking about the shit or you're in it and you're talking about this shit. And I think people just don't understand the difference of that shit. It's just a big difference. But joking
Don't
about it's
be
fine.
screwed. That is not separate from hip hop culture. They don't check anyone outside of our culture. It's the same topic. Talk about it. The
What
chat said
happened?
it's the same. The chat tell it it's the same topic because checking in is only for hip hop culture luminaries. We don't make when friggin' Julio Iglesias or where Enrique Iglesias shows up, he don't have to check in. Fucking
No,
A Boogie
okay,
with a
here's what I'm
hoodie has
talking
to check
about.
in.
Talking about a specific person that had to deal with a specific situation is not
Oh
interesting to
man.
me. Is not something I want to do.
We're not talking about that nigga specifically. I'm talking about just checking in
Checking in
general.
general and talking about how the intersection I don't even like saying this, but it's fucking stupid. The intersectionality of gangster culture and hip hop culture, hood politics, that's whatever. That's what I said. You can just make jokes about shit all the time. I'm talking about specific niggas in a specific game.
He
Nah.
said the fact that y'all scared to talk about checking in means it has to be the topic.
I'm not scared to talk about checking in. Checking in is fucking dumb. I'm not scared of talking checking in. I'm talking about Kendrick
Why
destroyed
do you think
Drake
it's
for
dumb? It's not.
imitating the violence that corrupted artists like Cardi and Kodak and on in their childhoods. He's not hypocritical in this. We'll get into that. This nigga John
Progressive
Green is just
Gal
worried about getting in
73.
trouble. Y'all know my
Thank you
life.
for that.
Y'all know my
Thank you for
life.
that.
Y'all know my life. Tarantino relies on Sam Jackson's cosign. Topic: Tarantino relies on Sam Jackson's cosign. He's not wrong. But anyways, we gotta go. We are
Yes,
hour
he
in.
is. Yes, he is. That's not right.
We are hour in. So this last hour, this last minute is just gonna be me telling y'all to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. There's 700 of y'all in here. We could get these 500 likes to 700. And if you're watching this later, get this shit up to 1,000. Thank y'all so
Please,
much.
please don't talk about checking in. Don't talk
The
about
Drake
checking in.
Nokia video,
Whatever you
Toure
do,
hates it.
don't talk
Absolutely
about
hates it.
checking in.
What'd you say?
Green's scared of checking in. Don't talk about checking in. Green's scared of talking about it. I'm gonna say
We're
it 3
scared
times
of
in the
talking
mirror.
about checking in.
Fucking
There's
gang is
nothing to talk
rolling
about with
60s
checking
gonna
in.
show up at your house. Watch. Watch.
What do you want to talk about
I'm
with
in
check-in?
Miami right now.
What do you want to
Where
talk
we
about
at?
checking in? You better
Where
check
we
in
at,
when you come to
Green? I'm in
Miami.
Miami right now.
This
What's
is
up?
Zotown. This is Zotown. Oh, you got to check in with me. You got
Come
if you
check
come
me
down here,
out.
you got to check in
What's
with
up?
me. Come
Yeah, come
through.
holler at a nigga. What's
Where
up?
I got check in Fort Greene. That's what I got to do. I got check in Fort Greene because you really
Not
got
with
check
me,
in over here.
nigga. You would look at me and you'd be like, I don't gotta check in with him. What he gonna do?
No, what the
He,
fuck? What the
he
fuck
got
you
no
about to do?
crew. He got nothing. I don't have to. See,
It's
this is
just a
what I'm
lot of times
saying.
those topics honestly just don't interest me because there isn't much about it that you cannot elaborate it. It's like, okay, checking in as an artist is a form of extortion. They created that to
Yeah,
extort artists. Why are we
yeah.
thinking of what there is there to think about? There's nothing to think about. There's nothing to talk about. It's just that.
Just, I mean, just the culture of how it is that a Byzantine community of gangs somehow convinced some of the most empowered black men in the country to pay them a tax so that they could go to LA and work and not be robbed by the individuals that they are paying. And some
It's
of these
predatory.
people, it's totally predatory. And some of these people who are paying at least claim to be among some of the tougher people in the country, or at least are associated with some of the tougher people in the country, and yet they go to LA and and pay. I don't even. I'm curious. What does it cost? What does it cost if you're a platinum selling New York rapper who wants to go to LA Compton and shoot a video? And I'm gonna be there 2 days, right? That's how long normally 2-3 days is you. What does it cost? What do I have to pay? What do I have to pay to Rolling 60s or whoever to do that? What I have that question. Who
Yo, this
do I
chat is
pre-call? Do I show up and go to the airport and go to the neighborhood and give them like how does it happen? How do I know who to even find?
that's so stupid. But this chat's hilarious because it's if you think Sinatra wasn't checking in, you're legit insane. Sinatra,
Sinatra
let me
was the guy you checked in with.
yeah, Sinatra. Y'all need to know what the Rat Pack was and who Sinatra was, because Sinatra was the guy you were supposed to check in with.
The Duber said, Torre sees a murder in progress and says, hey, what's going on here? Well, yeah, if you saw a murder, you wouldn't be like, what's going on? You're going to be like, oh, I'm going to run. Fine. I'm media. I'm a storyteller. I'm going to be like, what is going on here? What is happening? I might get some content before I get out of here. But like, of course, you see a murder going on and you just are like, I know, I have no questions. I'm not curious. Of course, I'm freaking curious. What are we even talking about right now?
Curious? I don't know if curious is the first. I don't think that's the first like space that I'm in. It's like,
I'm curious. I am wondering. I am worried. I am thinking, what is really happening? Can I explore the situation without getting my own body destroyed? I need to know these
This
things.
chat is good. Yo, the Doomer goes, Toure sees a sundown town signage. I bet they have I bet they have the
Dog,
cutest gift shop.
dog,
Like you just
dog.
curious?
But here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up
Yeah.
because I can't.
We're
I
going over
can't.
time again.
No, it's fine, but
All
I
right.
can't. If you tried to tell me this is a sundown town, I'd be like, nah, fuck y'all. Fuck y'all. I don't give fuck y'all. I'm going to dinner. I'm ordering a big ass fucking steak. I'm gonna tell y'all
You
before.
ever
I'm
been
gonna
on
give you a
tour
tip.
before? Throughout
I'm gonna
how
give
many
y'all a
cities have
tip.
you been in this country? How many cities have you been to in this? I mean, states have you been to in this country?
I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna tip
That
you. I'm gonna be a
matters.
professional,
How many
solid
states?
customer in this fucking restaurant. Y'all
Answer
ain't
the
gonna run me out
question.
of shit. This is fucking America. You ain't gonna run me out of here. Like I can't fucking be here. Fuck you. I can't be here.
Answer the
It's
question.
America. I'll
How
be
many
wherever the fuck I
states
want to
have you
be.
been? How
That
many?
question don't have nothing to do with nothing. That have nothing to do with nothing. Because you know
Yeah.
what? Because you know what? The
What?
reason why a sundown town could exist is because we play along with it. The local police play along with it, but we play
Who's
along with it.
we?
And
Who's we?
if 100 of
Who's
us
us? You
went to a
talking about? You
sundown
talking
town
about
and was like, we're having a
skinfolk?
party, what y'all
Kinfolk?
gonna do about it? What could they do? What they gonna do? What are they gonna do?
First
Kill
of all,
all
you
100
have to
of
have
us?
enough. That's such a deeper conversation. You have to have enough force to counteract force.
Dog. Dog. 100%. And we're
You
gonna get that. It can't be that much. This has been obvious to me since I was little. When I was 6, it
I
was
love New
explained to me.
Yorkers.
I grew up in Boston. It was explained to me that there are certain towns around here that we
You can't go
cannot
to.
go to, right? And
Yeah,
people who
you
know
grew up in
about
Boston.
Boston, Lynn, Southie, right? It was like
Mm-hmm.
we cannot go there. We cannot stop there for any
Townies.
reason. And even as a little kid, I was like, well, what if our car broke down and we were just passing through? And my parents would be like, and I'm like, this makes, even at 6, this makes no fucking sense to me. There's a place down the road that we can't go. Like, what do you mean we can't go there? Let's get a whole bunch of people and go there and explain to them, like,
Torre,
people come here
your
when we want you. What are you
emotion,
talking
hold on,
about?
your emotion and your sentiment, perfect, makes sense. I agree with you. Yes, that's how you revolt. That's how you get things done. That's how that happens. That's the action that needs to take place. But when your black ass is by yourself in that sundown town, it ain't gonna work out for you. That's all I'm trying to say. You make sure you have the equal force to counteract that force. That's all I'm trying
You
to
ain't,
say.
you
Hit me
ain't
up.
killing me.
Hit me up. I'll
You ain't,
I'll be there with you. Don't go by yourself.
you you
That's all
ain't
I'm trying to
bothering
say.
me. Fuck you. Fuck your sundown town. Fuck, not you,
I-
Green. Fuck you, your sundown
Sundown
town.
town. I get you. I get you. I completely get that. But
Shit.
there's when you actually travel this country and you actually see it, and that's my problem with most people, especially if they live on the coast, they don't know what country we live in. You live in a
Well,
different
you're right.
America. I've
You're
been
right.
to
That
I've been to every single state in this country, every major city in this country. This place is fucked and it's very different. There's literal different countries within this country, whole different other mind states, places where there's not food,
how
places where
many
there's
wait,
they don't even
how
get
many
food.
how many countries do you think exist within America? You said there's different countries basically. How many
8,
countries do you think there are? You
7
think
or
there's
8.
8? Hold on, I want to hear about this, but not today. Not today. Not today,
we
because
could
this
we
is a
could go.
this.
I mean, we could give this 5 minutes if people interested. We
No,
can
no,
get it in
no,
five.
no, 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 no. This is an hour. If you think through your experiences touring, there are 8 different. I did not expect you to say 8. I thought maybe you say 3 or 4. You think there's 8? I want to hear about that. We're gonna have to
I
get
have to.
into
I'll
that because I
I'll
want to hear about
really
that.
dive into it to get to it because
I'm
I
not
just did
mad
it
at
off
you.
top. But I think a good. Yeah, so I said 7 or 8. When I think about it, because the East Coast,
Hmm.
New England and New York can be two different places. Like New England and
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
the tri-state, and so yeah, I'm
yeah.
already at like just from
New England is far less diverse than New York, but I'm talking about New York City. I'm not talking about New York State. New York State is equally lacking diversity, and New England is much more preppy and small towns. See, upstate New York is a lot of that as well, but New York City is an entirely different beast. Um, I want to get into this because I think
it's
the
57% Kendrick hypocrisy, 43% adolescence. So that they do want that
okay,
topic. Some people want it more than the others. And then this conversation is its own too. And obviously there'll be more
but we did
things
but
that
we
we want to talk
did
about.
get but we did get a lot of people who do want to hear about adolescence, right?
Yeah, when we just asked the question, it was
Okay,
72%.
all right. So we're gonna work on adolescence. We're gonna work on Kendrick hypocrisy for sure, and we're definitely gonna
Matt
come
Hemmick
back with.
said all the regional flavors of racism would be like a variation in a pizza. He's so spot on. Like you, dog, do you know the difference between Vermont and New Hampshire is insane? The difference between Vermont and New Hampshire in culture is crazy. And they're right next to each other.
That you see, I appreciate that your understanding of America is so nuanced that you see a huge difference between New Hampshire and Vermont. But as a touring artist, that's a fucking touring artist. We're gonna get
Yeah.
into that. That's a fascinating subject. I love that subject.
All right, we'll get into that.
Um, all right, we're gonna get into this. This has
See
been a
y'all
fun show.
tomorrow. I'll be back
Yes,
home.
we'll be back tomorrow.
I want to go try to enjoy the beach before I leave. So fuck y'all. Hold on, let me show y'all. Let me show y'all the lake before we leave.
Go
Y'all
ahead.
want y'all want to talk about me and my motherfucking tank top and the chest out.
Yeah, we're talking about it. We had a whole thing about. Wait, are the shorts matching too?
Nah, well, they green.
Lake is cute, but is shorts matching the top? Is this like a
Pause.
planned community?
Pause.
No, not pause. Oh wait, I gotta give you a pause real quick. Wait, is this a planned community?
We mean, yeah. Well, most communities are planned nowadays, especially especially new ones.
That means a thing. Yes, what you're saying is correct, but that means a certain thing.
I know it means a certain thing.
Wait a minute. I was
We
trying
in
to
Florida.
talk.
We in
I was
Florida.
trying to talk about it's cute.